Hey, what's up guys? Shuckle King here, bringing you NCP Season 5 Power Rankings. Excited to do this, and this is always a fun little video I get to do. I like doing it for leagues just to show different perspectives of what people drafted. If I liked it, would I go for that type of format or not? And how I would maybe change things up in a bit. But I definitely want to highlight more of the positives than the negatives of all these teams, because all the coaches we have this season are fantastic people and battlers, honestly. I'm very excited to participate in this season and battle against some of these coaches. Some I've played numerous times and some that are brand new faces for me. So, yeah, I think, I'm definitely, since John Jr. is not playing this season, I'm definitely I'm probably by far the oldest member of the NCP. I played back in Season 2. Early 2018, so I definitely have a little bit of experience with this league, and I believe I did win a championship 2018. I think I beat John. It was either in semis or finals that I beat John. I'm not quite sure when, but it was a long time ago, and definitely a lot of fun. Tier 2 Shaman's guy, but anyway, things have definitely come a lot farther since then, and I'm very happy to see the progress this league has made, and hopefully John Jr. comes back, by the way, but yeah, so I'm going to be going over everyone's teams. As a side note, though, I'm going to rank my team number 1. There's no reason for me not to do that, but I'm going to be ranking the other 15's coaches' teams, and I'm basically looking at 4 criteria. One is your type weaknesses for the team. If there's a lot of stacked up weaknesses, then that could definitely hinder you. Like if you only have one fire resist, then you can get overwhelmed by multiple fire types or one really strong fire type. If you're lacking roles on your team that I deem that are pretty important, like certain amount of stealth rockers that are at least somewhat viable, removal options, you could even say like grounded poison or dark types to prevent a psychic spam, but some of these roles that I consider important and some are not as important, but still things that are nice to have. So you want to not have many team weaknesses and not many roles that are lacking. And then the third category is just ways that this team are going to function and how I feel like they're going to win games. So you want to have a lot of different options. I feel like you could only have one option, like get Dragapult, and that'll probably do at least average if you only have Dragapult. But no, you want to have a lot of options to win games. And the fourth kind of niche thing, this is kind of like a tiebreaker if I had a tough choice between a couple teams, is it a team I would draft? Is it a team I like? And there's some teams that are ranked, that I have ranked as pretty high positions that I wouldn't really draft. And I have teams that are in the lower ranks that I would definitely consider drafting, even if I maybe change up a mon or two, but definitely a type of build that I would like anyway. So let's get right into it, and hopefully this is not going to take forever, and hopefully I don't ramble a whole lot. But in the 15 slot, I think I had to do it. Oh, and I'm also going to rank the teams 1 out of 10. So that means if my scale had like, I see other people do this, but if you have a ranking system of out of 10, that means the average between 1 and 10, or if you go between 0 and 10, your average is a 5. And if you go between 1 and 10, your average is a 5.5 is your average. So that means about half the team should be below 5.5 and half the team should be above 5.5. So that's what I'm going to be basing my scale on. Now, if it's based on like the whole draft league community, a lot of these teams are like 7 and 8 or 9 or 10 out of 10 type teams. But I know the high quality of coaches we have in this, so I know I have higher expectations in terms of how good the draft should be. So Kyle, number 15, definitely makes sense. I'm not going to list off all of mine. You'll see them on the screen here. I'll mention a couple teams that made free agent transactions, so the doc that you see right here is not going to be updated with a couple of the teams, but for the most part, they'll be consistent. So yeah, Kyle A in the 15 slot. Type weaknesses, he doesn't have a normal resist. Flying resist is kind of bad, especially if you just spam hurricanes against his rain team. The ghost resist is non-existent. The dark resist is Polygraph. So if you're bringing Polygraph every game, that's a little bit of a problem. Dragon types can be a little bit annoying. Even very strong fairy types can be a pretty big nuisance to this team. I guess you have, Tentacruel is a pretty decent answer. But obviously you're going to be more offensively based anyway with Kyle's team. I don't think it's going to be like a Gen 5 range stalled team. So definitely all offense here. roles that he's lacking is honestly not a ton. He has only one rocker, which is Seismitoad, and that's pretty reliable. But you probably want Swift Swim on Seismitoad for the most part to take advantage of rain. It could be Water Absorb, I guess, if people are going to spam water against you, but I would kind of doubt that. And it's just, I guess if you're fast, then it's not that big of a deal, but yeah, I don't know about Seismitoad being the only rocker. You want to take advantage of Swift Swim because there's not a lot of Swift Swim users on the team. So I feel like you want Seismitoad more in a sweeping type of role. More momentum would be nice on Kyle's team. He has Pelipper and Chinchou, which I don't know how often they're coming. I guess Dormy with a flip turn is okay, but I think you'd just rather Hydro Pump in that instance. I don't think there's any Cleric inside of Chinchou, and if that's going to be coming a lot, then that's a little bit problematic. What I do like about this team, he has a lot of water types, so it's going to definitely overwhelm teams. Even though I have him as the 15th slot here, I'm pretty confident he's not going to finish 15th. I imagine he'll be definitely. I mean, I could say that without all the coaches in the lower ranks, but I actually think Kyle should finish higher than last place in this. And he has pretty okay defensive pivots on this team, even for being a rain team, which is neat. But I think the biggest draw is just rain plus Azumarill and rain plus Dracovish and webs. Like, how you going to switch into those mods? It's near impossible. I don't know how teams are going to do it. And I think I face him later on the season. I am definitely dreading this matchup. And is this the team I would want to use? Honestly, it's not my worst favorite, or even like my second least favorite, but it's probably not a team I would realistically go down on a path and try to play serious, but it does seem like a lot of fun. And as you guys know, I like triple typings, so this is what? 11 typing? I don't know what the terminology is there, but a lot of typings. 14th is Davion. I have ranked a 3 out of 10. And it's definitely annoying because he took over Chimpak's team, and I'm not saying the Chimpak's team would have been ranked 15th either, but they both kind of drafted half teams and didn't really have the full vision of what each coach had going on with their ideas. And this team, like the fire resists are a little bit annoying. Like you have Skarmory that's such a really nice wall, Buzzwole, but they're going to get hit by fire types. You have Goodra and Lantern. And water types are also annoying. Goodra and Lantern also handle those too. But I don't know how often you're bringing both of those mons. If Goodra is going to be your fire and water resistant, it's not going to be as offensive. And I think Goodra shines in offensive roles as well as defensive roles. I don't think you want Goodra to be only in a defensive pivot type of deal. Strong rock types like Terrakion or like Neolego also seem pretty problematic towards this team. Does he have a resist? I don't believe he does. Stunfisk. And Stunfisk is nice, but I don't know how many games it's coming to either. In terms of roles that he's lacking, he doesn't have a knockoff user. And I feel like that's like a pretty mandatory thing, at least having one reliable one on the team to get rid of items. And no grounded poison's annoying, though he could have Silvally poison, but that's not going to be that viable for most part. Things I like about his team are just Spextrier and mons that kill dark types and normal types. Mainly Buzzwole. I think that's a really nice combination. Volcarona is also really good in that role. Hatterene Trick Room, I think, is definitely an underrated option and can be very powerful if it gets set up. Skarmory is just a super nice defensive mon that fits pretty well on this team. And then Silvally. I love Silvally. It's a super versatile mon, especially if it being all types. Is this a team I would draft? Definitely not. I think this would be my least favorite team to draft. It's just too all over the place for me, honestly. Next we have JV. I have ranked as 3 out of 10. But he definitely has cool mons. But his team is pretty weak to rock types. Like Celesteela, it takes him on okay. And Como is fine in that role, but like the ground type is Landers, who is neutral to rocks, and the steel type Celesteela is also flying, so also neutral to rock. So same thing with like Davion's team. Rock types could be a little bit of a nuisance. But Como is a pretty decent answer for them, unlike Davion not really having that great of a answer to strong rock types. Psychic types could be pretty annoying. I don't know how often Volibee is coming. I like them on a lot, but I don't think it's coming that realistically. So Stella is probably going to be your psychic answer, but then if you face like, say, a Reuniclus with Thunder or say a Necrozma with Heat Wave, then Celesteela is only going to be so good of a psychic answer. But ice types, I think, are the main issue towards this team. Darmanitan's not going to switch in. And Vaporeon can switch in, but how many times do you want Vaporeon to be taking on ice types? Especially with Freeze Dry being a move. If it's a strong ice type with Freeze Dry, Vaporeon is going to have to be very special defensive. And if you know that in advance, you can prep and take advantage of, like, if you know 100% it's going to be a special defensive Vaporeon or something like that. Some roles that are lacking, there's no priority on this team, like really niche priority forms like Frost Ice Shard and Meowstic. So it'd be nice to have a little bit more of priority options, especially because the team is so slow. Now you do have Galvantula Webs, but outside of that, the team is not that fast. The special breaker on the team is probably your Galvantula. Now Darm is a great physical breaker. Como is not the best special breaker. Celesteela could be like a special sweeper if it's a Meteor Beam. But Galvantula is your like hard special breaker. It's going to be pretty annoying. And special mods are going to be able to sit in the field pretty reliably against this team. So it's going to be harder for Celesteela to sweep with special Meteor Beam sets. No Grounded Poison is not that detrimental to the team, but it would be just nice to have. And it's kind of slow. Things I like about this team, there's Webs. So I think Webs plus Darmanitan, Webs plus Como, just a great combination there. Even Webs plus Landers to an extent are really nice options there for 3 really strong hitting mons. Spike's momentum is really cool, especially because he has Serena, which is a pretty reliable spinner. The defog option is only Volibee, but Serena being able to spin is nice. That way you can keep Spikes up on the field. Clef, Como, Celesteela, like that's a really great Fairy Dragon Steel Core. Wish user to pass wishes from Vaporeon into Celesteela is nice to keep it healthy, even and with Clefable as well. Celesteela is really built around really nice with this team. I like it a lot. And really cool setup options like Clefable, Celesteela, Como, Landorus. They're all really good setup sweepers. So I like the options that JV has. And this is a team I could see myself using. Pretty well balanced, and I like a lot of the mons in the team. In the 12 slot, we have mid that I have ranked 4 out of 10. Some weaknesses to the team. The fighting resist is kind of meh on the team. You have Primarina, which is not going to take a lot of physical hits. Same with Torn. And what else? And Ribombee. Same with Ribombee. And Roserade. All 4 of them aren't that great of physical defensive walls. So it's going to be pretty tough. Like a choice banded fighting types are going to be good against the team. Now you do have a Necrozma. That takes them on fine. It doesn't take knockoffs well, but it takes some fighting types pretty well. But I feel like with Necrozma, you want to have more of the option to set up. I feel like Necrozma is going to be forced into the defensive role a lot, and I think you want to have that versatility a little bit more with Necrozma. I think a better, like maybe an Amoonguss over Roserade would have been a little bit nicer to free up Necrozma. Ground resist on the team, poison resist, flying resist. A lot of the resists on the team are like barely passable. It's kind of hard to explain. He has decent pivots, but I feel like if one mon goes down, then like the whole team like kind of crumbles as like a defensive core. And I think it's mainly because a lot of the mons don't have reliable recovery, and there is no Wish Passer on the team. And I don't believe any Healing Wish users on the team either. And having to rely on Copper Jaw as your Steel type is just pretty tough. It's an offensive team, but Copper Jaw doesn't take a lot of hits, even with the Steel typing. So it's going to be pretty tough. It's going to have to be a very offensive team with mid. And I feel like you could just build a more offensive team while having a little bit more pivot options. Roles that are lacking, just Copper Jaw. I'm just not a big fan of them on. I feel like we wanted a little bit more of a sturdy Steel type. Either that or a Steel type that has momentum. I don't even know if there's that many that exist. But I understand that mid doesn't want like a momentum sink. But I think Copper Jaw kind of does that anyway. So you might as well just get a Steel type that's a little bit more defensively reliable. But pretty good synergy otherwise on the team, honestly. And some things I like. There's a lot of fast mons on the team, but they're all kind of weird. Tornadus is weird because you miss hurricanes. Persian, I just don't like. And Ribombee, it's kind of niche. Especially not being able to hit steals is kind of tough. Webs is cool if he brings it. I think mid was against Ribombee generally, so I don't know if he's going to bring it. Zygarde and Necrozma, they're just really cool sweepers, so he'll definitely have good success with that. Pouring on Z is strong, Primarina is strong, and he does have nice spikes and toxic spikes from Roserade to set up these defensive or offensive Zygarde or Necrozma sweeps. You could have toxic spikes and have like a bulky Zygarde or Necrozma set, or just have spikes and have Necrozma or Zygarde both set up speed and try to win games that way. So a lot of versatility with setting up win condition for Zygarde and Necrozma. Definitely cool. Definitely a type of team I could see myself having. There's a lot of strong Mons. I would just have a little bit more reliable pivots and more recovery on those pivots. The Mons and the defensive roles are probably not things I would want on my team, but I do like this team otherwise from mid. In the number 11 role, we have Plat, which I have ranked 4 out of 10. With this team, ground types are a little bit annoying. Now, Hippowdon is there and like sits in front of them, and Crobat's a thing. Drifblim I don't think is really coming. But ground types are annoying for Lele, Cinderace. I guess Keldeo takes advantage of them. Dracozolt is also annoyed by them. Stoutland, Klefki, Vileplume is okay against ground types. It's not that big of a deal, but just a little bit of an annoyance. Strong steel types like Aegislash look a little bit annoying to this team too because there's no bulky water. Like Keldeo is the water and Cinderace is a fire. So both of them aren't going to take steel hits that well. Pretty good covering of weaknesses actually, considering how offensive this team is. But roles, just Hippo is not the type I'm on. I'm just not a fan of Hippo. And I understand why he has it because of Dracozolt, but Hippowdon, you have to run rocks, especially because his team has no other rocker. So you have to run rocks on Hippo almost every week. You have Slack off because you want to stay alive. You have Earthquake, and then you have a fourth move, Roar, Toxic, Ice Fang. It's just super passive, and I'm just not really sure how it fits on this team. Just not my type of mod. No knockoff user on this team. I think I think Davion also no knockoff user, but I think it's worse on this team. I feel like you want to definitely remove items and berries from mods. That way Lele and Dracozolt and Cinderace can really take advantage of that. There are spikes on Klefki, which is cool, but yeah, no knockoff user and only one rocker. It's definitely lacking on this team. Even though spikes kind of make up for only one rocker, it's definitely not the greatest. Things I like, Lele, super good. A little bit high that he drafted it in, but he also got Cinderace plus Keldeo to take out steals. So it's a really nice 3 offensive combination there. And just, you have Dracozolt sitting in the back with Sand. That could just sweep late game. Really nice combinations here. And you even have Umbreon that can pass Wishes into Mon. So that's just pretty reliable. And a lot of speed on this team. You also have a Crobat, who's just super fast as well. So really offensive team. I like it a lot. Not a team I would draft, though. So in the 10 slot, we'll go with the controversial ones here. This is also a 4 out of 10, and this is Leo's team. And he's my boy, and I helped him draft his team a lot. He definitely has some weaknesses, though. And it is kind of a byproduct of really only having 9 viable mons. And then Scrafty and Druddigon are kind of meh. So they're fine, but they're not going to be super reliable. So it's really 7 mons on this team. And with only 7 mons, you're definitely going to have some weaknesses. Water type answers are kind of because Swampert, as your water, is also neutral. And Victina is weak to them. Melmetal doesn't want to take Scald. Weavile doesn't want to take Scald. So you're relying on Porygon 2 and I guess Druddigon, which are fine. Eldegoss is okay, but not the best. Flying resist on the team is non-existent. Melmetal exists, but you only take so many Hurricanes from a Torrentee, especially if it has Heat Wave to follow up with. So yeah, Torrentees can be pretty problematic against this team. It's very Earthquake weak, especially having Victini Melmetal as your top 2 mons. You get Gengar, which is super strong, but also Earthquake weak. Porygon, Druddigon can take them okay. Porygon is okay, as I guess that was the mon I used to take on Earthquakes a lot last season for NCP. Swampert's okay in that role. Togekiss resist, which is nice, but Earthquake mons are going to be pretty annoying. And knockoff weak this team is. That's a weird way to put it. Victini, Melmetal doesn't want to get like its banned or whatever item knocked off. Togekiss can, but it's probably going to be Boot because Togekiss is the only defogger on the team, right? And then he has Eldegoss Spin, which Eldegoss is good. But Togekiss defog, if you're knocked off once, then if you get hazards up later on in the game, it's going to be pretty tough for Togekiss to reliably defog. Swamperts can take knockoffs as well as Druddigon. Weavile doesn't want to, Porygon doesn't, Gengar doesn't. So not a lot of knockoff absorbers on the team per se. Roles on the team, you could definitely have better rockers, and that's like a downfall of having Melmetal. It's because you want to get other rockers, probably like a bulky Psychic with rocks, and his rockers are Swampert, which is pretty reliable, on Druddigon, which is okay. He likes it a lot more than I do. And obviously the removal could be a lot better. Togekiss is your primary defogger. I mean, it's the only defogger. Eldegoss is probably not coming to too many games to spin, but if Togekiss is really your only defogger, it's kind of hindering how many opportunities it has to run Scarf for offensive sets. And especially because you have Victini plus Weavile as mons on the team, you probably want those mons to have more options than to run Boots every week. So I think you're going to sacrifice Togekiss to run Boots and Defog every week in order to have more versatility with your Weavile plus Victini. Things I like on this team. High speed mons, Weavile, Gengar. That's like a really, really nice combination, especially with how Lady got Weavile and Gengar. Both really nice options there. Just really, really strong offense. Victini and Melmetal. It's going to be really annoying to prep for this team. And the defensive pivots are really good with momentum. You have Swampert plus Togekiss plus Porygon 2 all have momentum. So that's really cool there. A lot of good fairy killers for Weavile and Victini plus Melmetal plus Gengar. It's kind of tough to bring a fairy against this team, and Weavile should do really well. And to an extent, Scrafty. Just a scary top 7, 8, 9 mons, but it's a team too predictable. That's going to be my question to see. Is it a team I would use? I think it's my second favorite team, so definitely yes. In a 9 slot, I have OG Albina, 5 out of 10. Strong rock types are kind of annoying against this team. Now, he does have Urshifu to take them on, and Corviknight to an extent can take on rock types, but he has no other resist on the team. Corviknight's not a resist. There's not a whole lot of strong rock types, so it's not the biggest thing, just a little bit annoying. And fairies can be slightly annoying to this team as well. He has Urshifu, which obviously you want good fairy answers for, and he has Talonflame to like revenge kill fairies, and Corviknight can take him on pretty well, but if fairy types have coverage, like Coco, obviously Coco's going to be pretty annoying against this team. And I guess Licky can kind of defensively handle fairies as well. Roles that are lacking, rockers. He only has Mamoswine and Colossal. I think he'd probably want a bit better rockers than that. Mamoswine, when I had it for API, I ran rocks not terribly often. And Colossal is going to be a niche mon. It'll come to a couple games, but a niche mon. He has spikes with Colossal. Again, I don't think that's coming a whole lot. And then Toxic Spikes with Weezing, that's pretty nice. But things I like with this team, Urshifu's just broken. So automatically, this team is probably like a 4 or 5 just out of 10 just because of Urshifu. Has a decent amount of fairy answers on the team. It would have been nice to have more. And he has more revenge killers of fairies and actually fairy switch-ins, but it definitely works with this type of team. For my LD run, I had Urshifu plus Latias, so I think that's a really good combination. And then he has really nice breakers in Mamoswine and Exploud. I feel like some teams overlook the importance of how important like a physical and special breaker are. So OG Albina definitely took advantage of that. And pretty decent momentum on this team as well with Corviknight and Talonflame. That's a nice combination there, as well as Urshifu. Is this a team I would use? I know how strong Urshifu is, and I had a team in Urshifu Latias, so I know how, and I did well with it, so I know how good that combination is. So I would definitely be pretty comfortable with this team. It's a little bit bulkier than I would prefer. I could go down this route, but I would probably want a bit more offensive team than what this is. Even though he has Mamoswine out, Exploud is really good offensive mons. They're really the only 3. Talonflame is good, but just weak initially. So number 8 on this team is power ranking is Kelly. I have ranked as 5 out of 10. And again, this shows pre-trades and transactions. So he made some different transactions, but I'm going based off his initial team. And that is Zeraora, Nidoqueen, Salamence, Zapdos, Scalar, Blastoise, Mesprit, Incineroar, Wigglytuff, Glastrier, Thwackey, and Stakataka. The Dragon-type switch-ins are pretty meh on this team, with Wigglytuff being your fairy and your Stakataka being your steel. Strong Dragon-types can be pretty annoying against this team. Otherwise, the typings this team takes on it's fine. Strong fairies could be a little bit annoying as well, even though you have a Nidoqueen that takes him on. Everything else is kind of hit pretty hard by fairy types. But a lot of mons just don't have recovery. Nidoqueen doesn't have it, Blastoise doesn't have it, Mesprit doesn't have it, Incineroar doesn't have it, Stakataka doesn't have it. And I don't know how much you got to rely on Wigglytuff actually passing wishes. Another thing this team is lacking is just a little bit slow. Like, you have Zeraora, which is super fast. It's a pretty big speed drop-off after that. which isn't the biggest thing in the world. Salamence and Zapdos are really nice, but definitely something that can be taken advantage of. Things I like on this team, Flying Spam is really neat with Zeraora. Zeraora struggles against grass types, and then you have Salamence plus Zapdos for that. So it's going to be pretty tough to bring your grass type against this team. Nidoqueen fits really, really nice in this team. Round 2 is a little early for Nidoqueen, but it fits really well, and I understand why Kelly wanted it so badly. He has a really, really cool Trick Room core of Glastrier plus Stakataka. He's definitely going to sweep someone or some people with the combination of those two. And he has good momentum to carry it, so he has he has a really, really fast Mon, and then decent speed tier with a lot of momentum between Blastoise, Mesprit, Zapdos. Incineroar's not fast, but he has also the really slow option in Glastrier plus Stakataka. So I play him week 1, and I know how annoying it is to prep for this team. Would I pick this team? I don't think so. I wouldn't go Zeraora with pick 5 like Kelly did. The Mons are fine, but not Mons I would generally pick. Zapdos, Mesprit, Stakataka, they're Mons I would pick. Otherwise, I would pick up some of these Mons, but I feel like for a little bit, like Salamence is cool, but I don't know for 15. I think I would pick it for less than 15 points type of deal. Blastoise, 10 points seems like a lot for it. Incineroar, 11 points seems like a lot for it. Glastrier, 13 seems like a lot, so forth, so forth. I feel if they were a little bit cheaper, I would pick more of these Mons. Number 7 slot is Liv. I have 6 out of 10. And this is also pre-trade and transaction. She also made changes. So, team is Dragapult, Thundurus, Therian, Snorlax, Tracheon, Slowking, Clefairy, Metagross, Quillfish, Piloswine, Sarude, and Magmar. Strong rock types are also annoying against this team, but you have Tracheon. So it's honestly not that big of a deal because Tracheon is probably the best rock type in the format. And dark types are a little bit problematic, especially with having Dragapult as your top Mon. Your Resistor, Clefairy, and Zarude. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but just an annoyance. Roles that are lacking on this team, Hazard Control is kind of weak. Thundurus T doesn't really want to run Defog. It can, but then you don't want to force it into a defensive role on this type of team. And is that the only removal option? It is. So, yeah, it's not great. And then your Cleric is Clefairy, which is also not great. Clefairy's not going to run Heal Bell probably at all this season. Zarude can take hits with Jungle Healing, but it's going to be annoying, especially when you have like a Slowking. You're going to wear down teams a lot. Metagross is not going to want to take Scalds, etc. Things I like about this team, there's a Dragapult. So same thing with Urshifu. It's going to just boost up the value of this team immensely. And she has a lot of fast momentum offense to deal with it. And Thundurus, Dragapult, and Zarude. I really like those 3 as a combination. And Tracheon is just a really strong breaker. I really wanted it on my team. Solid defensive pivot backbone. Slowking is just really nice, and you can teleport for free. Snorlax is also going to take a ton of hits. Quillfish Spikes and Toxic Spikes are always nice, and it's a good value for 7 points. I liked it on my my NCP team last year. Team's a little fairy weak, but you have a decent amount of Mons that can take them on. And Dragapult also doesn't like normal types, but then you have a Tracheon for that. So is this a team I would use? Definitely. I like this team a lot of fun momentum options. I really like Zarude. I like Thundurus T. I think it's better than Thundurus I. Decent fat option too at Snorlax plus a Slowking, round 6 Clefairy. Would you draft it round 7 or 6? Definitely respect that. Looks fun. Probably my 3rd favorite team behind Leo's. There's only one more team I like more. Which you guys might figure out. Besides mine, obviously. Number 6. I have his Matt O'Shea, 7 out of 10. The weaknesses on this team, there's quite a bit of weaknesses, but I also like a lot of things on this team, which kind of makes up for it. So the Scald answers on this team, now you have Dragalge and Sylveon, which are fine, but there's a lot of Mons that don't want to take Scald, and that's what you get for getting a Sandteam and Escadrille plus T-Tar. And Urshifu doesn't want to take Scald because if you get burned, you're kind of screwed. So Tangela is your grass type. You probably don't want to take a Scald into like an Ice Beam, even from like a defensive water type. So just things to watch out for there. Kind of EQ weak. Again, Tangela is there, and Zapdos is obviously there. But in terms of Edgequake, Zapdos doesn't want to take Stone Edges. So definitely have to watch out for that. Tangela's pretty reliable as an Edgequake absorber, but how many times you bring Tangela at the same time? Ghost Answers are, you have Tyranitar, which is really nice. But then what happens if Gengar's like Focus Blast? Then Tyranitar is not as nice. So just watch out for that. Ice weakness is pretty strong. Urshifu doesn't really want to take a lot of Ice Beams just because of its bad special defense. And Lapras, I don't know how often it's coming. So something to watch out for. And Fairy types, like offensively, they're really nice. Now Excadrill obviously revenge kills them, but it's going to be pretty tough to take on Fairy types defensively with this team. Some roles that are lacking, I believe Tangela is the only knockoff user. Zam has it too, but that's not really viable. Tangela is like borderline viable in knockoff. But again, how many times you're bringing Tangela? Probably not a lot. So not having a great knockoff user, it's going to be problematic at times if people have berries to take a Zapdos hit or an Excadrill hit. But things I like on this team, really offensive, but a lot of really cool, versatile options here defensively as well. Zam is a really, really cool win condition, and something I've wanted to try in Gen 8. Urshifu to handle dark types is nice. Zapdos and Dragalge are really good bulky grass killers, and Excadrill and Urshifu don't really want to deal with bulky grass types. So that's a really nice top 4 combination there. Cofagrigus and Dragalge as a Trick Room option is definitely viable, and it seems really cool. Not as good as Achilles, but still really cool option there. Sylveon, just a really solid defensive fairy that can pass wishes, can be offensive in a niche. And Excadrill under Sand is just so good. Even if I don't like Tyranitar, not a mon I would draft really, but Sand plus Excadrill is definitely nice. Is this a team I would use? Not really. It'd probably be in the top 5 if I liked the team more, but I don't think I would have drafted Zapdos at the pick that he had it with, even though Zapdos is a cool mon. T-Tar, even though he got it at the last round, don't like T-Tar. Not for 15 points. I'd rather get Gigalith as your sand setter. Even more. But I probably like T-Tar more than Hippo, to be fair. A lot of the low-tiered point stuff, I'm kind of meh on. Tangela is okay, but I don't know. I don't think a lot of those mons are really coming. But Dragalge is the mon I want to try. Urshifu is the mon I want to try. Alakazam is the mon I want to try in Gen 8. So all really cool stuff there from Matt. And the last 5 are all teams I have ranked either like an 8 or 9 out of a 10. Obviously, my team's a 10 out of 10. Perfect. No flaws. But no, I just didn't rank my team based off all these. But all 5 of these teams are really, really cool. So at number 5, we have D-Ray. I have ranked at 8 out of 10. A weakness with this team, Ghosts are pretty annoying. Now, he has Obstagoon, which can handle them fine. But Specsure cannot 2 KO Obstagoon with double kick. So just watch out for that. Sorry, D1, if you play D-Ray, but just watch out. You can't even run a Choppleberry for double kick anyway, so that's fine. But outside of that, he handles defensively really well, this team. The roles that are lacking, and it's not a lot. The special breaker is Rotom Wash, Heatran. It would be cool to just have a stronger special breaker option. Like he has Obstagoon and as a physical breaker and Conkeldurr, which are great. And Garchomp and Scolipede. So he has really, really nice physical offense. It just would have been nice to have at least one mon special-wise that could, like, complement those. Because I don't think you want to run Heatran and Rotom as offensive too often on this team. Maybe. It could definitely work. And the team is a little bit slow. Scolipede is, obviously fast with speed boost. But then you have Cryogonal, which is not coming much. Garchomp is a decent speed, but not elite. And the rest of the team is under base 100. So it's definitely a weakness. It's bulkier, a little slower, but it's still a really cool team. Things I like, Garchomp. I would have loved that Garchomp fell one more pick to me, but you picked it, and now it's definitely a great pick. Rotom Wash and Heatran. I heard Rotom and Heatran. But Rotom Wash and Heatran, that's just a really, really nice defensive combination there. And even Gourgeist fits pretty well with those two. A lot of physical breakers, I said before on this team, is super nice. And Scolipede can be a physical breaker, could also be a spike setter for Garchomp. Or, I guess, like a bulkier team if you want to run Toxic Spikes plus Heatran and Rotom Wash. Good fairy killers for because Garchomp doesn't want to deal with fairies. It can run Earthquake, which is fine. But Heatran, Scolipede, really good options. Even Obstagoon with Facades. Not many fairy types are going to switch into that. Reliable recovery is kind of meh on this team. As Slurpuff Wish, I don't think that's coming that often. But obviously, the more reliable role from Slurpuff, it could be a sweeper. But I think Webs looks really, really nice in this team with Heatran, with Garchomp. Scolpede, not as big of a deal, but I guess it doesn't have to run Protect. It can run Swords Dance or coverage moves. And Obstagoon. Conkeldurr, maybe Conkeldurr, but Obstagoon. All really nice option on their webs. And even Xatu. I like Xatu a lot on this team to Magic Bounce. The Defog and Rotom Wash is a nice backup option to Defog. Togetix, whatever, but Xatu is pretty reliable in that type of role. Is this a team I would use? I could see it. I like Mons in this team, and I like the archetype of this team. But I just feel like I would switch out a couple of Mons, but I like the build for sure. Number 4, I have Kurt, 8 out of 10. Really cool team. Not a ton of weaknesses, honestly, either. Not the rest of these teams don't have a ton of weaknesses, according to me. Maybe, again, Rock types, a little bit annoying against this team, but he has Aegislash. Suicune just handles any Mon in general. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but like Landorus plus Gyarados don't really want to take on rocks. Same thing with fairies. Now Aegislash could take on fairies. Suicune to an extent can. Aromatisse can as well, but they could just be a little bit annoying. Like a Coco can be annoying, but then Landorus is there, of course. So the roles that are lacking on this team, again, kind of like with D-Ray's team, there's not that strong of a special breaker. Now, if you run Specs Aegislash a lot, that's a really good mod. I like that a lot, so like that's definitely viable. And Raikou is also pretty strong special attacking-wise. Just the base power of Raikou's moves aren't that strong, so it's not as strong of a breaker as I'd like. But Raikou still fits really, really nice on this team. Things I like, a really cool momentum core with Landorus, Raikou, Celebi. Really neat combination there. A lot of sweeping options, and I like it a lot. Landorus, Aegislash, Calm Mind, Raikou, Celebi can do anything. Suicune can Calm Mind, win games. Gyarados is a Dragon Dance sweeper, so he has like 6 really, really viable options there. Pretty cool pivots. Aegislash is just like chilling on this team. This team would be pretty good even without Aegislash. And then Aegislash is there. Is just so annoying. He has just so many offensive options. And it's cool. And like the bulk is definitely sufficient enough to be of a more bulkier team if you wanted to go down that route. And the speed tiers are pretty good on this team as well. Is this a team I would use? I could definitely see it. I like a lot of the Mons. Landorus and Aegislash are probably top 10 Mons in the format, and you got 2 of them. So like it's kind of hard for me to say no to this team. And I really like Raikou this gen. So Suicune and Skuntank are kind of bad, I in my opinion, especially for their point value, but Skuntank's actually okay for 6 points. But Suicune I wouldn't pay 14 for, but this team is still really cool. I would definitely use it. Number 3 is Ultra Player. Weaknesses, again, not many on this team. When you have a Ferrothorn, Toxapex, Mew, you only have so many defensive weaknesses on your team. Strong flying type, like a Torrent, can be a little bit annoying to this team. Like, I guess Thunderous is your resist. But, like, honestly, Ferrothorn plus Toxapex handles most anyway. Earthquake users, strong Earthquake users can be annoying as well because Theraphor doesn't really want to take, like, Ban and Mammothswine Earthquakes. And Toxapex can't take them, obviously. I guess you have Heracross and Thunderous, which are okay, but just something to watch out for. Roles that he's lacking on this team, none. I don't think there's really anything. He has Mew, so Mew can do anything on a team. It's just annoying. Things I like on this team is just, again, just Mew. Mew can do anything. So, yeah. Yeah, if you have a Mew, like, you could... It's definitely the third best Mon in the format, I'll say. Yeah, it just has so many options. Ferrothorn Toxapex, that's going to be really hard to break. That's going to be so annoying. And it just has really strong hitters. Thunder is a really nice special breaker. Or sweeper, honestly. Heracross is a nice breaker or sweeper if it's scarfed. Crocodile, breaker or sweeper as well. Vanillux, you could set up Aurora Veil, but like a Specs Vanillux looks really nice on this team. Marowak, there's like very limited switch-ins to Marowak, so yeah, really neat. And then again, Vanillux Aurora Veil, if you want to set up like a Thunderous sweep or Heracross sweep, Mew sweep, just go for it. Would I draft this team? Yeah, of course. This is so fun. Mew's awesome, Ferrothorn's awesome, Pex is really good. Type Null is just gross with the combination of Ferrothorn plus Toxapex, and Marowak is just so strong, and Heracross. So yeah, great team. Number 2, I have Vivid. Team weakness here, I don't think there's really any. Defensively, this team covers a lot of types excellently. I wanted Milk Tank. I'm just sad I wasn't able to get it. Roles that are lacking on this team, I guess it's kind of hard for this team to kill fire types. You can like kind of switch into them fine with Moltres plus a Miltank, but I don't really see how you kill like Blacephalon or a Darmanitan. What other good fire types are there? Can't think of. Yeah, obviously there are others, but it's going to be tough for this team to kill them. Like Coco can, sure, but if they're like Scarf Arm, that doesn't handle that. Rillaboom doesn't, Drachi doesn't, Kyurem really doesn't. Moltres, I guess, has Hurricane or stalls him down. Sandaconda can pretty reliably. Moltres really doesn't. Miltank, kind of meh. Hitmonlee, if it has a terrain, then sure. Klawitzer, fine, but I don't know how often it's coming. So fire type's a little bit hard for this team to deal with. But things I like, Coco Rillaboom is just a really, really cool offensive option. And they cover each other's weaknesses super well. And then Jirachi, just thrown on there. I don't know how he got round 3 Jirachi and how late he was in the draft order, but that's just perfect. And honestly, Kyurem also fits defensively well with this team. Like, his top 4 are just amazing. And it's just a really, really neat combo that he has there. Decent bulk with pretty good recovery. Jirachi, Kyurem, Moltres, and Miltank, all nice with reliable recovery. He wants ground killers for top Coco, and then he has Rillaboom because Kyurem. So, like, ground types are pretty tough to bring against this team. And then he has Hitmonlee sitting in the back for like a cool sweeping option in either terrain. But is this a team I would draft? Honestly, probably not, even though I have a number 2. I'm not the biggest Coco fan. Not saying that it was bad. It was good value, actually, where he got it in the draft order. But Rillaboom is good too. I just don't like Grassy Tranks. It provides recovery for your opponent, so it's kind of hard to get to a KOs. Kyurem can kind of get overwhelmed, I learned last season of NCP. Jirachi is good, and I mean, there's great value for round 3. But I don't know. This just isn't a team I would see myself drafting, but a lot of really cool options here. But pretty easily, I think, number 1 option. Vivid actually was kind of up there, but Veps is definitely as the number 1 option, in my opinion. Team weakness, flying types are a little bit annoying. His resist is Registeel, and that's it. But the thing is, he has Torn, so definitely not as many good flying types out there if you have the best one. So it's not really that big of a deal. And again, Regenerator, so is what it is. Strong ghost types can also be kind of annoying too. Like Hydreigon, does it want to take a Dazzling Gleam from a Gengar? Does it want to take Spexture hits? Probably not. Dunsparce is a thing. I think Dunsparce is more viable to come than a Sableye, but how often is that coming? Roles that are lacking on this team, he doesn't have a Cleric, so definitely something you can take advantage of. It's kind of hard to Toxic Stall Mons though when you have so many Regenerator Mons. And that's like obviously the thing you have to like in this team. So much Regenerator, so just so much like free healing and so much momentum to like take advantage of that free healing. It's just so annoying. If he had like spikes on his team, that would be a pain to take down this team. Not that it already is. A lot of really good mods. He has like a really, really solid top 9. I'm not the biggest Whimsicott fan, but like a really top solid 8, if not 9. Hydreigon, Tornadus, Mienshao, just really nice offensive combination. Arcanine, Slowbro, Whimsicott, just a really good Fire, Water, Grass core with all of them having momentum. 2 of them having really slow momentum, 1 having really fast, so depending on what role you want. Registeel is just a really nice glue on this team and can sweep, and it can bring rocks every week. Like, Nidoking doesn't have to run rocks. Registeel can come every week and rock, that's fine. But Registeel can also win with Iron Defense sets, as he showed last year with BBR. Hydreigon, Nidoking, they're just really, really strong breakers. Mienshao with Reckless High Jump Kick. I love that set. A lot of people don't like to bring it. Just Regenerator's pretty safe, but Reckless High Jump Kick is just insane. Yeah, would I use this team? 100%. Favorite team, would draft it every time. I don't know how he got some of these ones. He had Tapu Bulu, I think, originally before he was able to trade for Slowbro from Davion, but yeah, no, this team is just great. But yeah, let me know. This is probably one longer than I wanted it to, but let me know what you think of the ranks of some of these people. Do you think some people should be higher? Do you think some people I think I overrated? Obviously, my team's number 1, so you can't dispute that. But yeah, just let me know what you think. I'm super excited for this season. of NCP. But and go and make sure you check out all the coaches. Link will be in the description below. But yeah, until next time, later, guys.